A very good evening to you on this second day of August 2023, a day when President William RUTO has announced that the prices of fertilizer will be reduced or has been reduced from 3,500 to 2,500. Safe to say that is a reprieve to farmers because that is what he promised during the campaign period. Now again today, Kenya Kwanza has of course named its team to represent the coalition or the government in the talks with the opposition team or the opposition coalition talks that will be spearheaded by, beg your pardon, by the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo. Yet again today, Kenya, or the country, is rocked with what I'd say a sad scandal because the money that was fundraised for the victims of the Londiani crash have allegedly been misappropriated. That is according to the Deputy Governor of Kericho County, and of course the County Assembly of Kericho has formed a task force, or rather a team to investigate those particular claims. Now that and many more stories on our bulletin tonight. Remember, you can watch this bulletin live across all our social media platforms at Lookuptv on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I am Ian Keitani, and our sign language interpreter is Josephine Uko. First of all, let's have a look at what's making headlines.
Tonight on The Insight, inching closer to a solution, Kenya Kwanza unveils a 5-member team for talks with opposition coalition Azimio.
I encourage farmers to embrace better and greater use of fertilizer to increase yields.
Fertilizer prices reduced by 1,000 shillings as President William RUTO launches a second phase of subsidy program. And a 37-year-old man who had been sentenced to life in prison for defilement finally set free after 12 years.
Thank you very much for choosing Lookuptv as your home of accurate and unrivaled news coverage. We begin our bulletin with matters agriculture, and it is a reprieve for farmers in the country after President William RUTO announced the reduction in the cost of fertilizer from 3,500 to 2,500. Now speaking at State House Nairobi, RUTO hinted at the government procuring at least 100 more dryers while assuring farmers of his government's commitment to paying half the price of the processed per 90 kg bag of maize.
Were diminishing.
With agriculture being the backbone of the country's economy, President William RUTO promising to focus on production during the campaign period, farmers have a reason to smile after President William RUTO announced the reduction of fertilizer prices with over 30,000 bags already sold.
I am proud to announce the commencement of the second phase of our program. On this leg, we shall begin to immediately bring down the price of fertilizer from 3,500 to 2,500 per 50 kilogram bag beginning yesterday. And I'm told that yesterday alone, 34,000 bags of subsidized fertilizer were sold to our farmers. This price, we expect significantly higher uptake of fertilizer. Since fertilizer is the game changer of our agricultural productivity, this should translate to higher production in the next planting season. I encourage farmers to embrace better and greater use of fertilizer to increase yields in the coming seasons.
Speaking at State House Nairobi, the head of state hinted at the government expecting over 60 million bags of maize in the next plantation year, urging farmers to double up their fertilizer inputs in a bid to increase their yields.
Our target this year and annually going forward is to produce 61 million bags annually between this year all the way to 2027. They have absolutely no reason why they should not double the fertilizer they are using from 1 bag to 2 bags, and we can immediately double our production.
As farmers across the country continue to grapple with the cost of drying maize, RUTO hinted at the government purchasing more dryers while promising to pay half the cost of drying for the farmers.
We are now implementing a national initiative to acquire 100 dryers, which will be distributed strategically to various NCPB depots nationwide. with the aim of serving maize farmers as well as cereal farmers at subsidized and highly affordable rates. I know, for example, that farmers have been spending anywhere between about 60 shillings per 90 kilogram bag of maize and thereabout. We are proposing that this year, Government of Kenya is going to meet half the bill for drying.
While decrying the exploitation of farmers by brokers, the president assured farmers of the implementation of the warehouse receipt system to ensure their hard work is rewarded.
Also maximizing farmer returns from their produce by likewise removing brokers, middlemen, and others, as well as other perennial marketing challenges related to cereals and pulses. To this end, we shall implement the Warehouse Receipt System Act of 2019, which has never been implemented, which establishes a structured and well-regulated trading system for agricultural commodities. This system creates an ecosystem with opportunities for the private sector and National Cereals and Produce Board to provide a trading platform that links buyers and sellers and facilitates access to credit by agricultural producers.
Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
Well, of course, that is in a bid to ensure that the country is food secure. Remember, on average, in the last 3 years, the country has been getting in a region of around 39 million bags of maize. Now, in the next plantation year, President William Ruto says that they are hoping to reach or to hit the target of course, 60 million bags of maize. We'll see whether that will happen. Now, a tussle is brewing between Kenya Kwanza and Azimio team after the two camps failed to agree on issues of discussion by the 10-member team picked to spearhead talks on contentious issues. Now, in a letter to newsrooms, Kenya Kwanza now says the demands by Azimio are not part of what was agreed as matters for discussion in a deal brokered by former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo. Our reporter Henry Tende with more.
There is growing fears of a major disagreement between the government and the opposition team Azimio as the two camps continue to argue over the exact issues that are supposed to be discussed by a 10-member committee. Kenya Kwanza team, led by Majority Leader in the National Assembly Kimani Ichung'wah, is up in arms over what Azimio have listed as the basis for discussion in their report to the media. In that report, Azimio still insists Kenya Kwanza government must address their demands. These demands by Azimio, released a few days ago, include a discussion on how to address the high cost of living, an audit of the 2022 elections, bipartisan reconstitution of IEBC. Azimio is also demanding inclusivity in national affairs and respect for political parties in line with the constitution. These demands have been dismissed by Kenya Kwanza team as outrageous. Kenya Kwanza says the demands by Azimio are not what was settled on as matters for consideration in an agreement brokered by former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo. According to Kenya Kwanza, the two teams agreed on 5 different issues. These issues include the reconstitution of the IEBC Commission, implementation of 2/3 gender rule, entrenchment of the Constituency Development Fund, establishment and entrenchment of the leader of the opposition, and the embedment of the office of Prime Cabinet Secretary. Azimio say Kenya Kwanza are not genuine as the two camps agreed to generate their own issues that will be tabled for discussion. As the two teams continue to point accusing fingers over the right procedure to approach the talks, the fate of the talks remain unknown. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
Well, safe to say that we will see what happens with those talks, but the biggest question is, if at all they can't agree on the issues that brought them together, will the talks hold any water? Will Azimio la Umoja continue to agree to continue with the talks without the cost of living being top on the list of their priorities, or will Kenya Kwanza bow to the pressure and allow the cost of living to be on the table as an issue to be discussed? Of course, that was rubbished by President Dr. William RUTO. Now, from matters politics to education and security, and Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has recommended the Teachers Service Commission to shorten services of non-local teachers working in the country's northeastern regions due to insecurity. Now appearing before the Parliamentary Education Committee, Kindiki also blamed locals for contributing to insecurity through incitement.
I can confirm that over the last 10 years, we have had a number of deaths and injuries of teachers, mainly arising out of Al-Shabaab attacks in northern Kenya.
Appearing before the Parliamentary Education Committee in time as required, Internal Security Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki urged the Teachers Service Commission to shorten the services of non-local teachers in the northeast counties due to the insecurity situation that lies ahead of them.
How we are collaborating with the TSC, and there I can say again it is through stakeholder meetings which are regular. We are going to make them more regular because those needs keep on changing from time to time. For example, after reviewing the latest attacks, chair and members, we discovered that housing non-local teachers or keeping them inside police stations is not enough. We better even keep them in urban areas because some of these police stations require extra fortification so that to prevent attacks, because the militants have changed their nature of attack.
CS Kindiki noted that the lack of security in the northeastern region is greatly affecting the mental health of teachers from the other regions who are working in the north.
Pulling the teachers in one location for their safety is a short-term measure. The long-term measure is to ensure that area is safe, just like the rest of Kenya. And I've already given my commitment that we will clean up that place and those threats will not be there.
Kindiki has asked the stakeholders to come together on the entire issue of security and education in the northeast region, reiterating that the ministry is concerned by the situation for the safety and welfare of the teachers, accusing the locals of inciting rebels against them.
Why target non-local teachers? It's an ideology that we terrorize society by dividing the local community from the community that is not local, either on religious lines or whatever other lines. And that explains why there has been a focus on teachers who are not from that region. It's a strategy of terrorists to cause division within society.
Kindiki appeared before the Committee of the Parliament of Administration and Internal Security of the National Parliament to deliberate on the safety of teachers who are not local residents working in the area of the Northeast region, which is grappling insecurity. Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Now, just a day after the Education Task Force presented its report to President William Ruto with a recommendation on the reduction of the number of subjects in schools and the recategorization of secondary schools based on their career paths, our reporter Wereme Kimani sought to find out what your opinion is on those proposed changes.
Naona itakuwa ni nzuri kwa sababu kila kijana atakuwa amesomea masomo ambayo itamsaidia baada ya kujiajiri. Naona sio mbaya, itakuwa ni nzuri sana kwa sababu mtoto akijifunza vitu fulani atasubiri kuajiriwa. Mwanzo atajiajiri, hata yeye mwenyewe anaweza fungua ofisi yake. Sio ni kama ni mbaya.
System imekuwa kitambo, ni ile unasoma tu au hujui hata utakuwa nini. Mtu anasoma akisema atakuwa daktari, anaenda hapa anakuwa driver. Sasa hii system ndio itakuwa mzuri juu mtu anaingia kama amejua ataenda kusomea nini. Ni kama British system. Ile British system of education. That is what we want in Kenya.
Ameleta I feel personally kwa sababu ni system ya Ulaya na hizo ndio vitu zinafanywa. Unapata daktari ametoka majuu anajua kazi yake. Hii yetu ya Kenya haikukuaga hivyo. So I support that system na ni system inasaidia. Hata hiyo CBC, it is competency based. Get competent. Kama unataka kukuwa nurse, unaanza kukuwa kwa mambo ya nursing. Kama unataka kuwa sportsman, una go into sports so that by the time unamaliza, now you are a professional.
This is good in terms of specialization, in terms of curriculum, as in a student or a pupil can take a route that he wishes to. Like, for example, if you want to become a nurse, you specialize on health subjects. If you want to become an engineer, you specialize on engineering subjects. But to me, the issue of national schools and maybe county schools, you know, most of the students in classes, their motivation is to make sure they pass, get a good mean grade, they go to national schools. But now, if all schools becomes equal, it demotivates students and pupils.
Mimi ingenisaidia zaidi, hadi nimemaliza sioni cha inafanya, ningekuwa nishamaliza kama class 8 nimeingia driving ama polytechnic. Kazi inaweza nisaidia kwa haraka juu economy iko high.
Lazima ikuwe equal, ndio mtu akijua ako sub county ako same na ule mwenye angekuwa national school. Nyingine ilikuwa biased. It was actually very biased. Unasikia mtu sahi akiongea anasema eti I was from Alliance. Sasa na namwambia mtu mwenye anafanya kazi the same mwaka.
Naona hii curriculum itasaidia sana kwa sababu zamani watoto walikuwa na subject mingi sana.
Unajua ni makanika, anza tu kufanya mambo yako ya mechanic from CBC grade 1 mpaka malutafika.
Those are just some of the opinions of various Kenyans here in the capital, Nairobi. On that note, we wrap up our first segment of this particular bulletin. We'll be back with more stories on this bulletin. Don't go away.
Do you see like Africa is growing, changing?
The side that I consider to be good is to see the hunger that the African people have for God.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a genuine hunger that they have. Whenever they go into the church, the things of the kingdom, they go fully. We pray a lot compared to the other side, but they seem to be advancing more than us. Because of understanding. I always say 5 children in Canada equal 10 children in Africa. You can imagine having to cook, having to clean the house, having to wash the children, having to do everything without any help. And at the same time you have a job, and at the same time you're planting churches, at the same time you're running after believers.
Karibu mtazamaji kwenye kipindi cha jamii na itikadi.
Kaini kitako tuna mengi.
Mapenzi yanapoanza watu huitana bebi na majina mengine matamu, lakini baadaye penzi linapogeuka na kuwa shubiri,
mtu anafikia kwenda kumtafuta mke mwingine.
Itakuwaje?
Yule wa kwake nyumbani labda hajamridhisha.
Ni sawa ama vipi Maliki?
Dadangu, wanaume ni kama maembe.
Huyu ni mwanamume atakuja abadiliki.
Mwanaume mwenye wanawake wengi hata katika uchumba, kwenye ndoa ataendelea. Mtu na tabia yake hawachi. Ile umbo la kike likishaanza, kila kitu kishaanza kuwa mahali pake.
Ningependa kukuona.
Sijaenda mahali ambapo mimi nilisikia mtu ati huyu alikuwa shujaa, alikufa katika mstari wa mbele wa ndoa. Sijawahi sikia mimi.
Are you a junior secondary school, a college, a TVET institution or a university, and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today on 011 0430 158, 011 0430 158, or email us on sales@lookuptv.co.ke.
Thank Thank you very much for staying with us. Now on to a story that has been making headlines across the country, and the government has suspended the controversial registration of the WorldCoin over security and data breach concern. In a statement released on Wednesday morning, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki stated that the government is concerned about activities of WorldCoin organization, which registers customers through collection of eyeball and iris data. Kindiki noted that the suspension will continue until relevant public agencies certify absence of any risk involved to the general public. Remember, they said at least 350,000 Kenyans had registered themselves for the WorldCoin cryptocurrency program. Now, moving forward, Agriculture CS Smith Kalinturi on Wednesday appeared before the National Assembly answering tough questions, including the method the government has taken to caution farmers against the increase in farm product prices. Let's listen in to how Smith Kalinturi did respond to those questions.
Provisions of Section 15, subsection 3 of the Statutory Instruments Act 2013, this House resolves to extend the period for the consideration of the following statutory instruments for a period of 21 days. One, the National Cereals and Produce Board National Strategic Reserve Regulations 2023, legal notice number 25 of 2023, with effect from 1st August 2023. Number two, the Universities Regulations 2023, legal notice number 56 of 2023, with effect from 17th August 2023. And lastly, number three, Access to Information General Regulations 2023, legal notice number 57 of 2023, with effect from 17th of August 2023. Mr. Speaker.
Your second. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I now have the pleasure to ask question number 101 of 2023. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain the measures in place to address the re-emergence of animal diseases that were put under control in the country, such as anthrax, East Coast fever, contagious bovine pleuropneumonia, and trypanosomiasis, and the policy measures to eradicate them?
Mr. Speaker, I seek your indulgence, and if you may allow me, ask you to kindly, because there is supplementary information I'm waiting for from my office in regard to this particular question, so that I'm able to do proper justice to it, that I start with any other question, so that by the time we are finishing with the others, I may be able to answer this question being the last question, because I wouldn't want to give my good friend Karoli Omondi an answer that I don't feel is sufficient enough, because I have a very short time to interact with the answer. I seek your guidance, Mr. Speaker.
But not, even if Karoli wasn't your good friend, you have a duty to answer the question.
Mr. Speaker, I have a question to ask to the Cabinet Secretary to outline the steps that the government is taking to support local companies to produce and supply BT cotton seeds to farmers in order to mitigate the high prices associated with the monopoly of supply by a single source. The number two, also would like him to enumerate the measures put in place by the ministry to address the constant price increases of BT cotton seeds, which is straining farmers by increasing the cost of production. And then the last one, to state the viable alternatives being explored by the ministry to address the high cost of BT cotton production, especially for the small-scale farmers who cannot afford the high cost of seeds, fertilizer, and insecticides every planting season. Thank you.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply as follows. The government is making efforts to attract companies to produce certified cotton seed in the country, and in order to attract suppliers of BT cotton in the country, Mr. Speaker. We advertised for expression of interest of suppliers on the 20th of April 2023, and on 27th June, Mr. Speaker, potential companies have applied for the production of BT cotton since in the country, and the evaluation process is ongoing.
Remember, nowadays all the cabinet secretaries are required to appear before the House to, of course, explain what is going on in their respective ministries. Moving forward, a 37-year-old inmate serving a life sentence at the Narok prison for defilement has been freed after he appealed the case. The now free Amos Kioko was arrested in 2012 and charged with defilement charges and was sentenced to life in prison after the Narok Law Court found him guilty. After spending over 12 years in prison, Kioko has been appealing his case until now, when his case has been dismissed. This and more stories in our court roundup.
Amos Kiok, who had been in Narok prison for the past 12 years, expressed his joy after his case was dismissed by the court. An elated and hopeful Kiok stated that he had taken the arrest as a challenge, as he had come out a better man and had made great achievements in prison.
2012 tarehe 7 mwezi wa pili 2012 nimesukuma miaka 12 jela na kwa makosa ambayo sijafanya.
Elsewhere, 2 female suspects have been arraigned in Kisii law courts in connection with lacing of a customer's drink that led to death. The 2, Caroline Kawira and Purity Kajuju, appeared before the senior resident magistrate Christine Awino after they were picked from Kasarani, Nairobi on the 22nd of July. Among the items recovered from the suspects was an assortment of electronic gadgets belonging to the deceased Francis Kariuki.
Una pingamizi yote kwa ombi lake. Ninyi mtaweza kuzuiliwa kwenye kituo cha polisi cha Nyanchwa Police Station hadi wale maafisa wa upekuzi watakapomaliza uchunguzi wao. Mtaweza kurejeshwa hapa kotini tarehe 11 mwezi wa 8 mwaka huu au kabla ya hiyo siku, ili afisa ambaye anachunguza kesi aidha aweze kuelezea ikiwa atakuwa amemaliza upelelezi wake ama ikiwa mtaenda kushtakiwa mbele ya koti.
Finally, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations is holding 5 suspects, including 3 women and 2 men, who are suspected to have been involved in fraudulent activities. The 5, including Nancy Wambui, Margaret Njeri, Joseph Waweru, and businessman Stephen Buru, were allegedly found with false release orders from suspected serial fraudster Daniel Musheru, who has 3 pending fraud cases at the same court under unclear circumstances. The senior principal magistrate, Gerald Mutiso, however, ordered the detainment of the 5 suspects for 14 days only to be presented in court thereafter.
2, they are alleged to have committed several offences, including offences against the administration of justice, which profanes the temple of justice.
Juliet Chepkoech, Lookuptv.
A middle-aged man died this morning after being crushed by a train in Kamoro, Ndia sub-county in Kirinyaga County. Now, residents say they found some pieces of human body and clothes scattered along the railway line, with the deceased relatives saying that he was suffering from mental illness. This and more stories in our county wrap with Faith Bonariri.
Somber mood has engulfed residents of Kamoro village in their constituency, Kirinyaga County, after they found some pieces of human body and clothes scattered along the railway line. Believed to belong to Alfred Mwingwi, a 38-year-old man who was an area resident. Liamudoni, a family member, noted that the deceased had been battling mental illness.
Hapa usiku tulisikia kwamba yenyewe kuna jamaa aligongwa na alikanyangwa na gari ya moshi ambayo ilikuwa ikielekea Karatina pande wakati wa usiku, na inaonekana kwamba tulipokuja hapa tukaona kwamba kama ni ile suruali yake ya jini ilikuwa amevalia. Unaona kwamba yenyewe kipisi kimoja kinaonekana pande hii, ingine imeonekana pande ile ingine, kama ni mapisi ya nini, kama zile ya nyama zake na mifupa tulikuwa tukiziona mbali, na sasa hiyo gari ya moshi ilienda, inaonekana ni kana kwamba ilirudia hapa tena kabla asubuhi ifike, kwa sababu wenyewe hata hakupatikana hata nyama zake zilikuwa zimekatakatwa.
Kirinyaga West Sub-County Police Commander Moses Koskei called on residents living along the railway line to be extra careful when walking and also to take care of the loved ones who are struggling with illness to prevent such accidents. Elsewhere in Jamini area of Kinangop, a group of farmers are counting losses running into thousands of shillings after a herd of elephants raided their farm, leaving a trail of destruction.
Siku ya leo tumekuwa hatujalala kutoka saa 4 ya usiku. Ndovu ndio walitoka ndani ya forest, wakaja wakaingia kwa shamba ambapo sisi tumepakana na Kiambu, na zimetoka kwa forest zikaingia ndani ya mashamba yetu. Ziliingia kwa mashamba tofauti ya watu tofauti na zimeharibu mashamba sana.
According to one of the affected farmers, Priscilla Mugure, the elephants had uprooted crops worth thousands of shillings before retreating back to the forest. No one was, however, injured during the invasion.
Shida sana, Jumadovu imelala huku ikitusumbua sana sana, hata si kulala juu ya nyumba yangu karibu ipomolewa, watoto waende. Hata mashamba yangu hapa nimesimama ni kwa shamba yangu, hata mmeona vyenye shamba imeng'olewa mahidi hii ndio nataka kusomesha watoto wangu shule nayo.
In other news, the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry KNCCI has rolled out a partnership with several private companies aimed at equipping youths in micro, small and media enterprises with hand-on skill in an industry setting.
Planned reintegration program for the youth and children who undergo vocational training. They are still our children, we must give them a second chance. So we urge all other institutions, private sector, employers, that when we bring you these youth, accept them, because we will have done a good deal of work.
Speaking in Nakuru when he held a meeting with the representatives of over 200 MSMEs, the branch NCCI chairperson Said Ali said that the private sector could help to address the shortage of technical skills in the domestic and commercial sectors.
Partnership and dedicated funding, we are now poised to create integrated system of vocational training and aligns with the needs of the job market. By equipping our young people with the skills and knowledge required by the private sector, we are not ensuring their employability, but also contributing to the overall economic growth.
Faith Bonareri, Lookuptv.
Now, time to get sporty. Commonwealth 800 meters champion Miriam Mora is positive in the upcoming World Championships. Mora is targeting to win her first world title in Budapest, Hungary. The 23-year-old finished in the third place in last year's Oregon Championships in the United States. Now, the World Champion is scheduled to kick off. The World Championships are scheduled to kick off on the 9th to 27th of this month.
Mazoezi si mbaya kulingana na ile training yenye tunaendelea tukiwa kwa camp. So tunaendelea mzuri kulingana na ile program yenye tunafanya, mwili na respond mzuri. So ni sisi tu kujitolea na kung'ang'ana ndio tuone mbele itakuwaje. I'm targeting to learn 155. God willing, mwili respond mzuri na nikiwa na afya mzuri. Tashukuru sana, hiyo ndio target yangu. Pamoja tuna train as a group kama brothers and sisters, tuko na target mzuri kitambo hivi World Championship. Kitu yenye tunahemu ni kuleta medals mingi na tuko ile position mzuri, at least hata tukimaintain kama ya last year hatutakuwa mbaya. Na target yetu ni sisi mkiwa mnatuwatch, na pia sisi tutakuwa tukisema mashabiki wetu wanatuwatch na wanangojea mazuri kutoka kwetu, so lazima tujitolee. Kama ni kwenda kuleta medal lazima tulete.
Now, 2008 Kenya Premier League champions Sofapaka Batoto Bamungu have unveiled Francis Arigengo from Burundi and Pablo Ndumiwana as the new coach and assistant coach respectively. Now, Arigengo has played the same role at Kiyovu FC, Mukura FC and Police FC in Rwanda. The Burundian international tactician replaces David Ouma, who has been tasked as the club's new sporting director. In the event, Batoto Bamungu also unveiled their new players for the new upcoming season.
Tuko na kocha mpya ambayo naenda introduce kwenu pamoja na second assistant wake. Kuna vile tumefanya program kama Sofapaka. Kocha ambao tumekuwa naye na ambayo tuko naye bado tumemchange kidogo kikazi na amepewa naita promotion. Sababu kila mtu anapofanya kazi lazima afanye kazi kipromotion. Sahi ni director ya technical. Kuna wachezaji pia wapi ambao tumeleta nje ya changing ya kwa technical bench ambao wamekuja kutusaidia.
Sofapaka ni timu na mimi nimefuatilia sana. Ni timu kubwa Kenya, ni timu kubwa Kiafrika. Juu ni timu nimefuatilia historia yake, nimeifuatilia sana. Sasa nilikuwa namshukuru sana kwa confiance yenye amenipatia kuweza kunileta hapa.
The third round of the National Rugby 7th Circuit Prince Louis Sevens is set to kick off on Saturday 5th to Sunday the 6th of August at the Nakuru Athletics Club. Now, the Nakuru leg follows the completion of the first two legs last month. That is the Dallas Sevens in Kisumu, won by KCB RFC, and Driftwood Sevens, which Kabras Sugar won in the coastal city of Mombasa.
Killer leg. Saturday we have the men's category. In total we'll have 40 teams participating. 24 teams will be participating in the Division 2 category and 16 teams will be participating in the Division 1 category. That will run through to Sunday. Then Sunday we'll have the knockouts and the finals.
If we speak in terms of the number of players who will be in this ground over the weekend, we will be talking at between 300 and 400 people playing active rugby over 3 days.
For this year, SportPesa pumped in up to 15 million shillings to support the whole circuit, and this will be running for 3 years, but year on year we'll be reviewing the figure upwards. Specifically for Nakuru, being one of the host clubs for the 6 tournaments, we're supporting Nakuru with up to 1 million shillings to go into organizing a successful Prince Louis Sevens.
I'm Thomas Odundo.
Now, Faith Kipyegon has been awarded the Sports Personality of the Month of July by the Sports Journalists Association of Kenya. The 29-year-old broke 2 world records in the month of June, and in July she broke the record for the 1-mile race. Kipyegon is eyeing to retain her title for the 3rd time at the World Champions happening in Budapest, Hungary later this month.
I said when you were awarding me last time that I took this award as motivation, because it has motivated me a lot still to get many awards as possible, and I'm now heading to Budapest, which I'm going to double over the 1,500 and 5,000. We are going to do our best and bring back the gold medal, as I'm heading there as defending champion, and I hope to defend my title.
And also, as LG Electronics, we like to say that this is the 3rd gift you're giving you. So it means you're revamping your whole home, and LG is really, really happy to be partnering with SJAC, and you're so happy to be partnering with someone like Faith Kipyegon to get this award.
Faith amepata ili tuzo kwa sababu ya bidii yake pale uwanjani, na ameweza kuletea Kenya sifa, si Kenya peke yake bali ulimwengu kwa ujumla. Na hivyo ndivyo tunafanya katika SJAC, tunasema kwamba mambo mazuri yapo, na hii ni kupatia motisha wana michezo wote wengine. Haijalishi ni riadha, haijalishi ni ogeleaji, haijalishi ni soka, popote pale ile mradi umefana uwanjani, basi SJAC kwa ushirikiano na LG itakuwa ina watuza zaidi
members wa SJAC.
Another story story of Faith Kipyegon brings us to the end of this particular bulletin. Thank you very much for joining us today. For the team behind the scenes, and Nalima, of course, Orondo, Sean, Josh, Alvin, Ian, and on our digital desk. Thank you very much for making this a success. Do have yourself a lovely night. I am Ian Keitani, and our sign language interpreter has been Josephine Auko. Until tomorrow, God bless.